I felt like we were checking off those boxes, and he was like, no, I still got 20 more. See, you left me at 5.
Yeah.
I got 20 more, and if you're gonna be with me, we have to do this together.
I love
like
it.
It was always him doing this, and I'm like, well, I'm going to work. Like, what you talking about? Then we had another child, and that the mental strain with that, and I'm like, I gotta be a house mom. Like, what that look like? I don't know.
Good idea. Now we buying merch.
That's ghetto.
Payment miss.
Ooh, the ghetto.
Say she quit.
Ooh, the ghetto.
Late on your rent.
Rent is ghetto.
New event.
Ooh, the ghetto.
Invoice in.
That ain't ghetto.
Money spent.
Oh, that's ghetto. Hold on. It's kind of ghetto being a CEO.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of the Ghetto CEO podcast, and I'm super excited that you are here because listen, being a CEO is giving very much ghetto, and on this podcast we talk about all the behind the scenes of being a CEO, the things that people really don't like to talk about, and so we keep it 100% real. But let me tell y'all, we have an amazing guest today. You have seen her family all over the social media streets. Herself is Her500, and Her500 have been taking over these streets, and so I want you to find out all the behind the scenes of their business, but also the woman. I always say behind a strong man is an even stronger woman. Okay, so today on this episode we got my girl Turquoise Barney, Her500. Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Listen, are you excited to be on this podcast today?
I am.
Yes.
I've watched your podcast, and I'm like, oh, she be doing her thing. That little ghetto genre. I like it.
Yes. Listen, we were trying to give them the real.
Right.
It's not cute behind the scenes.
Oh no, not at all.
They don't understand.
Yes.
They don't understand. So tell them who you are, and then we're going to dive into this ghetto CEO world.
Right. So I am Turquoise, Her500 on Instagram. I am the co-owner of EYLU, powered by Recession Proof. We have the #1 financial literacy platform. Yes. We own and operate several different businesses. And I'm just here to tell you how ghetto that is.
I love it. So girl, you don't even do podcasts and interviews and all of this. So what made you want to come on the Ghetto CEO show? But are you like stepping out, building your own brand? Because we love a woman behind the scenes.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
We love it when you get it in the front too, girl.
For a long time when me and my husband were building this business together, it was like we had to realize our strong points. And me, because I'm so blunt and transparent and not media trained at all, I'm like, check this out. I can't leave it up to me. We wouldn't have a community. Yes. You know what I mean? Like, what's wrong with her? Yeah. But, in all honesty, speaking was his niche. Like, he's a great speaker. I'm still a fan of my husband. Like, I love listening to him speak. I'm not that great of a speaker, but I can speak, if that makes sense. Yeah. So in any case, I'm like, you know what? That's you. You can do that. You can market, you can advertise, you can talk to the people just like a preacher at church. You can build a congregation. Yeah. My congregation would be of 5 people and be like, oh, I like her. Like, she just gives me the real. You know what I mean? And not to say he's not organically or authentically him. It's just we have two different ways that we approach people, business, life, and things like that. So I play the background to where, I make sure our businesses are running and operating right, doing the research, finances, make sure the bills got paid, everything, you know what I mean? So, and it's worked out for us that way to where it's like now everything is like on autopilot. It's to like, oh, okay, well, I can get outside. I can talk to the people. I can build a community within our community for the women. Now we have our first launch May 21st, Women of Recession Proof. Okay. So that's going to be our first, and we're calling it a social because it's going to basically be like our first gathering. Okay. And it's not business driven, money driven. It's mental health, mental wellness, just women support, a lot of things to me that I don't see, or I don't know, not to say they're not out there, but just I don't see. And that's the community that I wanted to build with mothers, single women, wives in waiting, things like that, because a lot of that, it's not talked about, like this new soft life thing. And I'm like, you got to work for that soft life, sis, okay? And I mean work, you know what I'm saying? So in any case, it's not building my own brand, but it's building a brand inside of what we already have that are just for the women.
Yes, and I love that. Like you said, a lot of people really don't talk about the mental wellness and the mental health, even as being a CEO.
Yes.
This is, I always say it's the craziest thing that I ever decided to do.
What?
Like, why?
Right. You and me both, right? So, and even just to give you like a quick background story about that, and I say this in a joking manner, but I'm like, you know what? I hate entrepreneurship. Right? Like, they're like, what you mean you're an entrepreneur? And I'm like, okay, let's take a step back because you thinking surface level, right? So let's take it a step back. When I first met my husband, he was full on gung-ho entrepreneur.
Okay, so he was always giving,
listen, when we first got together, he was like, I'm never getting a job. And I'm like, well, you know, I'm a college graduate. You know, I got my dream job at Kaiser. Like, you know, that was the first job when I got here after college. So I'm like, I'm double major. What you talking about? Like, where's our benefits going to come from? Like, everything that a corporation offers you. And he was like, we'll figure it out. So that's his thing. Like, we'll figure it out. My thing is, if it doesn't make sense on paper, I'm reluctant to do it. You know what I mean? Like, what drives and motivates me is security. You know what I mean? I need a security blanket. Okay, this is what I get. I work this many hours. Okay, I get this pay. Oh, I'm going to get this check. There goes my benefits. There goes for my kids and all this other stuff. To whereas once he introduced me to this world, he was like, you smart, you figure it out. Go research, go do this, go do that. And I'm like, don't put me up to the test.
now you're ready.
Now you got me poking my chest out. So it's like everything I learned from working in corporate America, I just took and put it into our business, right? So I'm like, okay, we can get self-funded health insurance. We can get an entrepreneur 401k. Like, I'm just looking at all those things, investments and things like that. But, you know, if we don't work, we don't eat. That's the difference. You know what I mean? And a lot of times we hit those roadblocks where we did have to depend on credit and things like that. But we were learning, and we were learning together. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, this can work. So even on the last podcast I did, I lied to my husband about quitting my job.
Tell us about that.
Oh, listen, because he kept saying either if you're not all in, our company will fail. Like, it'll die. You can't be 1 foot in and 1 foot out.
Ooh, that's good though.
What? So I'm like, you know, he's very logical. I was like, you fuck, excuse me, you messing with my brain.
Girl.
Oh, say something then. Because look, my mouth, sometimes I'm working on me. I'm working on me. And I was like, man, fuck that. You know, I can have a job and do this. But, you know, for a while, I kind of understood what he was saying because a lot of times I couldn't be there for what he asked me for because I'm like, damn, I put myself on the schedule. Because I did go to PRN. Okay. So instead of full-time, I went to PRN, so it's on call as needed. Okay. Right? So I kind of drifted my way into this, but not fully. Okay. And then in my head, I'm like, I have to be 100% financially dependent on this. You know what I mean? Like, which is just ghetto for me because I'm an only child. So it's like, look, and I was raised by my father. So in any case, he was like, look, you go to work, you make some money, you make sure you financially secure, you make you okay. Even in a relationship. Because what could happen? People are people are human, right? So, but in any case, he was married for 11 years and I'm like, but it didn't work for you. So I can't really listen to you because it didn't work for you. So I gotta talk to somebody who it's worked for. So in any case, just mentally transitioning through the process of leaving corporate America onto entrepreneurship, it took me a while. So I didn't fully quit my job until 2019.
Wow.
Yeah, 2019.
So how was you hiding this from your husband? Because he wasn't like, well,
it was on call as is, right? Okay. So it was like I would put myself on a schedule randomly, but I didn't want to lose that security blanket. So some of the times I'd be like, you know what, I'm going to my dad's. Right?
He like, okay.
And I had my work clothes in there because it was only like 4 or 6 hours. It wasn't anything that was too demanding. I just didn't want to lose that security, that security blanket. Funny. Because if anything happened, I'm like, oh, I still got a job. Y'all can put me on the schedule. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all can put me on the schedule. Like, I'm good. But in any case, so it wasn't anything to make him like, you know, where's she going or what's she doing? It's like, okay, I go to work, I come home, got my stuff in the trunk. And we've talked about this before. Okay, got my stuff in the trunk.
What did he say afterwards? Was he like, you know, something was...
No, none of that. So one day I sent him the email that I sent my boss and saying, you know, I'm putting in my 2-week notice as a blah, 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 but I wasn't on schedule for the next 2 weeks anyways. So I was gone. So he was like, you just quit now? And I said, yeah. He was like, I thought you already quit, right? And I'm like,
I love it. I was
like, well, I just went PRN. You know, I had to clean it up a little bit, but he understood because I made him understand why. Like, he understands me. Like, we can sit there and have those honest conversations with each other. And it took us a while to build up to that. It just didn't happen overnight. You know what I mean? But to have those type of uncomfortable conversations, I was like, look, you got to understand who I am and where I come from. I'm an only child. I've always been financially secure. I've always made my own way. That's why I went to college and felt like I had to do those things so I can be okay for me. Right. But now I have a partner, and we weren't married then. We didn't get married to New Year's Eve of 2020. 2020. Yeah, 2020, right?
It feels like a lifetime.
So much ghetto shit be going on, girl. I gotta think. But yeah, so I quit while we were just in a relationship. Okay. And that's another thing, because as a woman, you know how it is, like, is this real? Is this for sure? Is this the direction that I'm going in? But I put it all in God's hand. I prayed, I cried, I battled, but I was only battling myself. I was like, you know what, you gotta make, now you have to make some big girl decisions. You have to make some tough decisions. So, and I'm here now.
Yes, and we made it through.
Right, we made it through. By the good grace of God, I'm here.
Yes, and I think that this is a good conversation, because there's some people out there that's like, girl, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want, because everybody is not as much as entrepreneurship or their purpose, and maybe it's not entrepreneurship, it may be their purpose is pulling on their heartstrings. Right. It's also like that thought process of like the stability. I have kids, I have this, I have that. And I think sometimes in this entrepreneur world, you know, people go all in, just jump off the porch, and it's just like
that pressure, and it was a lot of pressure on me because we were just growing so fast. You know what I mean? And I'm like, if we in this together, we in this together. You know what I mean? Like, if this is the man I'm going to marry, this is the life I want to have. Because I was just okay with the house we purchased in Snellville. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, we lit over here. And then it's like, he was like, no, this ain't enough. I'm like, what do you mean? We can't live here, right? That's him. It's like, he was always in a competition with himself to do better. And I'm like, but this is just enough. Like, we're okay. Like, don't fix what ain't broken. You know what I mean? Like, we good over here.
Coming back.
Yeah, that to me, because when we first moved here, we got in an apartment. A year later, we purchased our first house. So I'm like, but that was it for me. My dream job, purchase a home, get the decent car, little Benz.
All the boxes.
Those boxes is what fuck us up as entrepreneurs, just as humans. Those boxes, right? Because I got this box, but this box ain't been filled. Like, what do I do? Like, it's all entrepreneurship. It's all over the goddamn place. You know what I mean?
Ain't it though?
So I'm like, I felt like we were checking off those boxes, and he was like, no, I still got 20 more. See, you left me at 5. I got 20 more, and if you're gonna be with me, we have to do this together. I love like it. It was always him doing this, and I'm like, well, I'm going to work. Like, what you talking about? Then we had another child, and the mental strain with that, and I'm like, I gotta be a house mom. Like, what that look like? I don't know.
How did that work? Because you transitioned, so you spend a lot of time with your kids, but you are also a go-getter. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I want my own, I gotta have my own, but
I gotta get outside. Right.
So how did you make that transition? How did it feel for you?
So at first, I'm not gonna lie, it was a real struggle. It was a struggle because alongside of being a wife, being a full-time mom, because that's a job that people don't understand, to be a full-time mom, and then help run and operate these businesses alongside with keeping myself together. Me, because I'm like, fuck, if I'm not good, I'm no good to nobody. But I knew that mentally already, but a lot of times it was like, damn, I don't want to get up. Like, I don't want to wait. I don't want to take them to school. You know what I mean? And this is before we start getting money to have a nanny, housekeeper. Well, he hired the housekeeper first because he sure wasn't washing no clothes. And then everything I just felt like at first was just kind of piling up on me. You know what I mean? So I went to therapy. I started talking to a therapist, and she was kind of telling me how to maneuver ways. But, them therapists is tricky. With me, it's if you don't have the experience, you can't tell me what to do. True. So I can't talk to a marriage counselor who's never been married before. I can't talk to a family therapist who doesn't have a family. You everything is book content. You know what I mean? And we know how that works in college. You know what I mean? Like those books are old and outdated.
Yes.
So the information that I feel a lot of them were giving me was old and outdated, or it wasn't structured for an entrepreneurial family. You know what I mean? So that was that. But it was tough for me, at least like the first 2 years, because alongside of that, I felt like I was losing my identity.
That's what I was about to say. How did you get Turquoise back?
Turquoise just got back this last year.
Well, period.
No, seriously. She just got back this last year because it was, once again, hard for me to make decisions because I didn't know if this was right. I didn't know if it was wrong. And then everybody I was talking to, of course, everybody's situations are different. You know what I mean? But I'm like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this what my life is supposed to look like? Are we going in the right direction? Am I moving my family in the right direction? Because they can't move without me. My husband is the head of this household, but best believe I'm that backbone. And if my backbone is broken, all this shit fall apart. So it was like me having to keep up with that. And you know, you see my husband everywhere. That motherfucker's a machine. So I have to run, not behind that, alongside of that a lot of the times, and carry these two little people with me. So, and our family. We got a whole family that depends on us for everything. I'm getting calls for tuition, bills, and things like that. So I'm like, fuck, I'm losing me. So to get back to that, I honestly had to start saying no, right? Cut a lot of family members off, cut a lot of people off. Like we got different groups of friends and things like that because it just works. You know what I mean? And a lot of things before wasn't working for me. So in order for me to get dressed, I had to be more intentional with the things that I had to start doing, as far as, okay, every third Sunday, go get your nails done. Go get your nails and toes done. I love getting my makeup done. That's a vice for me. You know what I mean? Like, you know what? I don't want to do it myself. I want to be pampered in that way. So it's just mentally just doing things that served me, for me. So that's how I got back, and I'm like, oh, okay, I can get outside and start talking and shit.
Outside now. I love it, but I think that is so important because I think a lot of times, as we're entrepreneurs, we're running businesses, we're running families, we're being a wife, they want us to throw it back 3 times a week.
Like, say that, okay? And I got a young man, so he younger than me, 3 years under me. So I'm like, girl, make sure this thing don't run dry, girl.
It's a whole process. Like, God,
eat my fruits and shit. Like, I don't want to be smelling down there. You know, like, keeping up with life is just so. That's why I'm like, ooh, the ghetto CEO. Let me go there and tell about all my old fucked up ass experiences and shit. Like, let me get off my chest a little bit.
Do you completely feel like your content is trash? Like, you really could take your brand to the next level if you could really figure out how to do marketing, how not to spend all your time online, how to really systemize your social media and get your followers off of social media and into your bank account? Well, listen, I want to give you a free 15-minute content audit with myself and my team. And so we can really dive into your social media page. We can really dive into what you're already doing with marketing, and we can see what gaps you already have. Now, listen, I want to show you how you can work with us and we can help you fill in these gaps, but you may get off the call and you may feel completely full and you may not need us. Completely fine with me. So what I want you to do is click the link below, book a call with us so we can see if we can work together this year or if you got everything that you need to go to the next level. Let's go. So diving into the business side, like when you think about being a CEO is ghetto, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
The money. The money, the support. Right? The build up. You know, at first we were doing a lot of things wrong. Like a hood ass business, right? Like a ghetto ass business, like paying people with Zelle, Cash App, shit like that. You know what I mean? Like we didn't have, and I'm like, you know what? One of my best friends, being the HR guy, he's been doing HR since we got out of high school. He went straight to college at 18. So I'm like, you know what? I told my husband about him. Of course, my husband got to do research. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you know what? He's morally and ethically and anything that we need as far as HR and handling business. That's what he does. So my husband had a talk with him. He was like, you know what? I like him. We're going to bring him on. And when I say that literally changed the game for us, like it took so much off of our backs because it's us trying to keep up. And let's not talk about taxes. You know what I'm saying? Like, talking about some ghetto shit. Y'all want to say, fuck the IRS, but you know what? I can't. You know what I mean?
No, you can't.
I know. I can't. I love y'all. Hold it down. But
y'all my people.
Y'all my peoples for sure. Y'all gonna hear this. Y'all my peoples for sure. But, you know, things like that. And it's like, when we were able to start building a corporate infrastructure for our business, that's it. But when everybody says, I want to be an entrepreneur and shit like that, I'm like, why? Like, do you know why you want to do this? But the benefits it serves is so great. I know.
Absolutely.
The life we live, the quality of life that we have, what we're able to provide our family and our children, it's unmatched. But they just get to reap the benefits. They don't got to do none of the work.
No.
It's
or
really
go through the hard stuff.
Go through the hard stuff. And legit, it's more harder for me than my husband because he's out there in the field. I ain't in a field like him. You know what I mean? Hey, call me if you need something. You can't get a hold of him, I'll be right here. You know what I mean? But when I think about being a ghetto CEO, it's just when we started these businesses. And like even our aviation company, it's like, the fuck we get in this for? Like, we know nothing about jets, right? Like, nothing, but we learn. And a lot of things, we took a hit for because we didn't have proper mentorship and guidance and things like that. It wasn't big back then. There was like a Tony Robbins or people we not looking to follow that don't look like us, right?
So it's not looking to talk to us either.
Right. So the things that we were teaching and doing, it was everything from our experience. But once it got out of our control and out of our hands, it's like, okay, now we need to bring on experts to teach our group. Once our group just start, growing and growing. So if I can say anything about the ghetto experience we had, it was legitly like paying, like I knew it was ghetto. I knew it was fucked up. You know what I mean? Because I was like, well, how are we supposed to keep track of this? And I don't even think Cash App had a business Cash App at the time. I don't think they had a business Cash App. Zelle, people ain't setting up proper Zelle accounts. I'm like, okay, is this a business or is it? Even that, like, it was just a mess. So we had to do a lot of cleanup work. Like, so that.
Would you count that to like one of the biggest mistakes that you've made in business, or do y'all think do you have another mistake that you feel like, okay, that was a mistake, but we got through?
I would say that was the biggest financial mistake, because the cleanup work that we had to do and how much it cost us to clean up our books for that year. Well, those 2 years, you know what I mean? Like that was the hardest. Is like, because we have to find stuff. Now we got to get people to. Was this a business or was this a personal? And then a lot of things like we couldn't even account for as expenses because we were paying people wrong, right? So it was like we were just giving people money, you know what I mean? So we didn't have a W-9 back then. Like we didn't have none of that. So it's like, and nobody was there to teach us, or there was nobody around us we could ask, like nobody. So if I say, and I wouldn't even call it a mistake, we just didn't know, you know what I mean? Like we thought, and then the money started coming in so fast, and this was like 2018, 19. So we like, shit, okay, we got to pay him for this. Me, pay him, Turk, pay him. And I'm like, what are we paying him for? Who is this? Yeah, he did the content, he did the video, he did this, he did that. Oh, we got to pay them for graphics. And I'm like, hold up. Like, so even another big mistake too was not building a team initially. You know what I mean?
It was like the one-offs here, there.
Whoever was willing to do the job. You know what I mean? That's what it was. It was whoever. And then a lot of times they didn't even do the job, or they didn't do it to our standards or what we're looking for. Like them over promising things and under delivering. You know that, and we didn't know any better. We were still growing and building. So I think those were the two things, not building the right team, and then that big financial, mistake of cleaning up our books and shit.
Listen, I think those are like the two hardest categories as an entrepreneur, because people tell you to build teams. They like, you need a team, but how do you build a profitable team? So you're not just like paying people
for nothing.
It's really a process. And then the financial part of like, what do I do? Like, how do I spend this money? What's a budget? How do I set this up? Because
is there even a budget? Like, what does a budget look like? What does that look like? I don't know, because I realistically don't know what we need or what we're spending. We're just giving it all away. You know what I mean? But these are services that are needed, but we weren't scouting the right people, seeing who's paying what's paying who. Like we was all over the place. You know what I mean? Because everything was just happening so fast, but we got it together.
And that's the good part, right? Like, okay, we made it through. You know what I'm saying? What is there any current struggles that you feel like, okay, because I always say new levels, new devils. Any current things that you like, okay, this is something I'm trying to work through?
Trying to work through in business?
Or personal, business, personal.
Just this new height and this new life, right? And I say it's new because I don't feel like I'm new to money, because I don't come from like a struggling household. but this type of money, right? To where, are we doing the right thing? Do we have the right people around us? And honestly, what do we do with this money? Because we don't have all the answers. What are the right investments? That's where we at right now. It's, are we investing in the right things for our generational wealth? Yeah, we can talk about it, we can initiate it, but 3 to 5 years, 10 years from now, ideally, what does that look like?
Right.
So people can tell you all day, and I'm so sick of this word, generational wealth, right? What does that actually mean? What does that actually entail to you? Because everybody defines it in a different form or fashion, right? So when you say like, new level, new devils, that's it. It's like, what ideally do with the money, and is it right? And I think that's a struggle we have, because trust me, we done invested in crypto, Forex, you name it. We've been there, been part of a damn Ponzi scheme. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have all been there, and it's like, I guess you got to take some big losses to make some big wins, or to get some big wins.
No,
like, that's how we see it. We like, fuck, if we did it once, we could do it again.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where we at right now, is just making sure we make the right decisions financially. And like you said, every year is something different, because every year we grow, every year we somewhere different, every year we buying a different property. And another thing I want to say is that when it comes to finances, overhead, like, I have a fear of high overhead. That's just me. So when we start buying these houses and cars and stuff, I'm like, check this out. If we can't buy this outright, I don't want it. Because I don't want you to have a McLaren over here with a $3,500 car note, and a couple of the months, sometimes we don't eat. You know what I mean? Like, everybody eats before us. So a lot of times business isn't... Listen, payroll is a bitch.
Like, y'all gotta get... It's 2 weeks again. Like,
and we pay everybody every 1st and 15th. Goes out like clockwork, right? And a lot of times we didn't see a profit. And because we didn't see a profit, I don't think it bothered me so much, because I'm like, everything is paid for. Like, we don't owe anybody anything that can make them be like, damn, we gotta pay this shit again, or we gotta hustle up some money or something like that. Like, to me, that's one of the smartest things I feel like we've did, and a lot of people would probably disagree. But I just feel like we bought our cars outright. We buy things outright. You know what I mean? And that's because, to me, it's a protecting mechanism for me. It's like, no, I don't want high overhead. You can't take our cars. You can't take our house. You can't take nothing from us. You know what I mean? We in here.
And even thinking about the season of entrepreneurship, it's highs, lows, ups,
all the
downs.
time.
You could be, last year you could have did 20 million. This year it could be 500,000. Like, it could just be, you don't know what the world is going, what's going to happen.
Like right now, everybody in a recession. I said, look, it's low right now. You know what I'm saying? So, but you have to prepare to pivot. So that's another thing I did learn too, is about pivoting our business, knowing when to hold the money, knowing when to spend the money, because a lot of people don't know. It's cool to shop and splurge, and everybody wants to have fun, but realistically, do you have 3 to 6 months saved up for your business? Because a lot of times we don't eat. It's been months where we didn't eat, but everybody else is enjoying the fruits of our labor.
Never know.
You get to pay your mortgage on us. You get to pay your car note on us. But thank God we don't have those issues. But it's hood out here.
And it's like, and I think that's the one thing that I always tell entrepreneurs, especially when you get in this, right? Like, there's some months that you don't pay yourself. And sometimes you be so bad, because you be like, y'all just walking around here, the team walking around with attitude.
Excited.
Then you mad, you not doing your work, and I done sacrificed to, you know what I'm saying? But it's like things that you just take on as an entrepreneur. Like, these are just things that you have to deal with. And a lot of people getting into this, they don't understand it, because they think of everything surface level. Like, us, we do a lot of, well, my husband more than me does a lot of like lifestyle marketing. But again, he tells you the back end of this lifestyle, what it took to even achieve this and get this. Like, it's not show off, it's not bragging, it's not none of that. I'm here to tell you it's achievable, because he grew up in the slums like a nothing. You know what I mean? So he like, look, this is what I had to do to get here. This is what it took to get here. And it's like, if you want it, you got to understand you really have to work for it. Like, that's not cliche or nothing like that. Like, you really got to work for this shit. And if you don't work for it, you won't see the fruits of nothing. So you a 3-year entrepreneur and you ain't made nothing, motherfucker, that's normal. That's normal. That's what I be telling people. Like, I ain't made nothing in business. Like, I literally had a family member in trucking, and, when the gas started going up and everything else, like,
I felt like she was like, you know what? I don't want to do this no more. I thought I would be making money. I'm like, damn, motherfucker, you only been in it 6 months. Like, understand, we didn't get a real first break until after the first year. You know what I mean? Like, you got to understand, it takes time. Like, we didn't hit our first million till the second year, 2018 in business, 2009, beginning of 2019.
Yeah.
But that was a stretch, and that wasn't all profit.
Right.
So when we say, yeah, I'm a millionaire, right, you know what I mean?
Let's
After
talk
all
about
these
it,
expenses and shit like that, like, you're a thousandaire, buddy.
Right. Sometimes 100
Sometimes 100 but be grateful, because on paper it look good.
Yes, I can say it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, I love it, and I think that this is the reason why we have these real conversations, because people don't understand behind the scenes is so much that goes on.
It's a lot.
Switching gears a little bit, talking about your daughters, right? So how have you been able to balance like all of these things, right?
Look, there's no balance.
Period.
It's priority.
Yes.
They hold priority over anything else. And I set it up in a way that was comfortable. And trust me, this was just all within the last year. Because the last couple of years before that, I feel like I was a chicken just running around in a coop with my head cut off. Because every day, even in entrepreneurship, it's always something different. There's no schedule. There's none of that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here this week, I'll be on a flight next week, going somewhere, doing something, having something. So, but with my children, it's like, my priority for them was them being comfortable, right? And just being present as a mom. And I feel like one of the great things that entrepreneurship did do for me was allow me to be present as a mother. Instead of just, because I hear a lot of moms saying what they lack, they got to go to work, got to get the kids dressed, got to get them off to school. And honestly, you know, for people who work, it's really the system who's raising your children, because you take them to school, take them to after school, and then hopefully they got an after school activity on top of that, extracurricular activity. So my kids go to Kumon, they go to ballet, they go to piano. Like, I try to keep them busy, but I'm there. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the things that me and my husband don't get to trade off, that he does feel bad for. Like I said, because he's out in the field all the time. But they have a parent that's present. You know what I mean? They have somebody, I show up and I'm there. And I get so much out of that because they get to see mommy. See, I didn't get to see my dad a lot. My dad worked all the time, and my dad worked nights. You know what I mean? So it was just us. So a lot of the times I realistically did raise myself. You know what I mean? He was the financial support and made sure my grades was good and everything else, but I had to get up and get dressed by myself every day. I had to make sure I made it to school on time, because he worked nights. And he worked an hour and a half away from where we lived at in California, in Stockton. So it's like, okay, a lot of this I had to do for myself. My children won't ever experience that. You know what I mean? Like, they get up every day. Whose face do you see in the morning? Mommy's. Who made you breakfast? Who took you to school? Who picked you up? Things like that. Like, it's allowed me to be so present for them, is that that's fulfilling for me.
I love that. And I think, and I always tell people, whatever you go through in your childhood, it's either you're going to have an adverse reaction to it, like you like, I'm not doing that, I'm going to be there, or you're going to fall into the same patterns. And I love that you're like, okay, you know, I knew my dad was working, I understood it, but I'm going to be there for my kids.
I want to be present,
Yeah, I love it. I think that is so good. So we're about to play the game. Okay. Are you ready? So we call this game Figure It the Fuck Out, because as a CEO, we always have to figure it the fuck out. Like, it is always. So I'm going to choose a scenario.
Okay.
And then you're going to answer it immediately. Like, whatever comes to your head. Okay. So you just fired your assistant and you check your credit card statement and realize she stole $50,000 from your account. What's next?
I'm calling police on that bitch. Straight up. I'm filing a police report, calling the police.
Like, I got to pull up.
Girl, I'm showing up to your house. I'm calling you because you probably ain't going to answer because you know you stole from me, right? No, definitely. I am following, not street code, but I am doing, because I have something to live for, right? So I have to think about everything I can potentially lose before I shoot your ass. You know what I mean?
I would say it's a different answer for a Her500 and Turquoise. I might pull up.
Oh, look, pulling up like, no, the fuck she didn't. But no, I would follow. I would sue her. Girl, I would do everything because I'm getting my money back. And because it's the principle, a lot of times it's not about the money. It's about the principle. And you really thought you was going to get away with stealing $50,000 from me? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to show you.
Right.
Yeah.
I got something for you.
I got something for you, ma'am.
Miss Mama.
Ma'am, whoever.
Yes, I love it. So, like we said, being a CEO is being giving very much ghetto. And you're a mom, you're a wife, you running these businesses, but you are also that girl. Okay,
say it again.
Listen, that girl. So, what would you last advice to someone that is feeling all this pressure, right? Like, think about you 2 years ago. That pressure that you had of being the perfect wife, being the perfect mom, running these businesses, not letting this stuff fail. What would you say to that person that's feeling that right now?
I would tell them that it's okay to cry. I would tell them that it's okay to ask for help. I would realistically, because that's one thing I didn't do. I didn't ask for help because I didn't know how. I feel like, I'm Turquoise, I've been her, I could do all of this. When realistically, if I had the proper help, like if I would have implemented a nanny, if I would have implemented a housekeeper. We had our same housekeeper since 2018. She with us today. You know what I mean? If I would have proper prepared, but like I said, nobody could help me. Nobody was in the same realm as us. So I would just realistically, because pressure's going to come. Like it's just going to come. It's inevitable, but it's how you respond to it. And I just feel like a lot of I wasn't vulnerable enough to say I need help or to even cry a lot of the times or even go to my significant other if you have one. You know what I mean? To just say, look, I can't do this. Right. I never told him no. I never told him what I couldn't do. I just figured it the fuck out. I just figured it out. So those are the things that I would say. It was just realistically, it's okay to cry. It's okay to be stressed out. It's okay to break down. But legitly, if you need help, ask for it.
I love it. Y'all give it up for Her500. Turquoise is back in the street. Y'all heard it first. Right? I love it, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of the Ghetto CEO Podcast. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Listen, and get your Ghetto CEO merch, okay?
Period.
Head over to the site. All right? I love you guys, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Peace.
Ghetto. Invoice in. That ain't ghetto. Money spin. Oh, that's ghetto. Hold on. It's kind of ghetto being a CEO.